everyone, welcome to Every Week We Follow. I am honoured to be joined by fellow Fanalyst and Liverpool supporter Sarah. How are you doing, Sarah? Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for asking me. This has been long in the planning, and little did I think that Liverpool would be in the state they are now when you asked me.
Well, I was always nervous about talking to Liverpool fans because our record at Anfield is not great, and so this fixture always makes me feel very, very nervous. And I genuinely thought, with the start of the season that you had and the start of the season that we had, this would be a very different conversation. So I'm feeling a little bit better about it at the moment. So yeah, just give us a little bit of an introduction about your journey so far in the footballing world and what brings you to our wonderful podcast.
Yeah, so obviously we are both on Fanalysis, so anyone who hasn't gone to check that out, please do. It's about putting the mic in the fans' hands, and we're both incredibly passionate about what the app is trying to do. So that's how we've kind of met. But a bit about me. So I used to be a journalist back in the day, and I did do a bit of sports reporting and was at 442 for a period, but it didn't pay very well. And I was living in central London, and I ended up going into communications as my full-time job. But Fanalysis reached out through Instagram, and I went through loads of auditions and then got on the Liverpool First 11 with some incredible football content creators. And I'm now trying to build my community. So yeah, check me out. I'm Red Luca across platforms. So yeah, and I'm just incredibly passionate and hopefully knowledgeable enough about Liverpool.
Absolutely brilliant. And we'll put your link in our description and so forth, so people can check you out for all Liverpool content. So yeah, go check Sarah out because she's great, and she's, like she said, we're just trying to build something, right? And that's fun. And hopefully with the Fanalysis behind us, it can give us a little bit more of a platform. We're hoping that it's going to launch next month. We haven't been given an official date, but when that happens, I'm hoping that we get a bit more traffic coming to our way, and people start to go, well, I actually know what it is, because I don't know about you with Fanalysis. So lots of people still, what is it? What are you doing?
Yeah.
And I've started on TikTok, kind of utilising their graphics and kind of using their teams of the week and that kind of stuff, and talking about that. And I still think people are going, well, where are you getting all this from? I'm like, well, it's the link's in the bio. Go and check it out. You can sign up if you want and become a founding Fanalyst and all that kind of stuff. So yes, Fanalysis, we are promoting you. Help us, help you. And for those of you who don't know what Fanalysis is, it's basically a football app that's been set up by Michael McIntyre with the support of Gary Neville. And yeah, they seem incredibly passionate about it, and let's hope it can kind of take off. And I think the fan voice is something that is just ever present now. You look how, we talked a little bit off air and about content creators, and you could say it's a saturated market, but I think football is the one thing where it can be saturated because it's a matter of opinions and everyone wants to talk about it. And I think there's enough of a market there for everyone to have a piece of the pie. So I hope that helps, and I hope that it works for us as Fanalysts. And long may that continue. So let's get into it then, Sarah. Let's talk about Liverpool's current form before we get into Villa. Obviously, you had a game last night. This has been shot on a Thursday, so you played in the Carabao Cup against Crystal Palace. Now,
did we play?
I just want to get your take on Crystal Palace, because personally, I can't stand the sight of them. They've devoured us in the last season and a half, and you've just lost twice to them in a month. So yeah, let's talk about that. How do you feel about?
All right, wound, salt. So
we've got something in common. We can share our pain.
Yes, we can. So Palace, I massively respect Palace. Let me just say that, and I do love their fans. Seriously, they're singing, their jives, their everything. I actually really enjoy it. I think more of that in the Prem. However, yes, they are most definitely our bogey team, which is why, and if anyone goes and checks my content out, when I saw that lineup, I was like, what the beep is stop doing? It was a throwaway game, and really don't like that. As you know from me, Gary, I love to win. I hate losing in all these guises.
Yeah,
And we're not big enough to throw away, we're not doing well enough to throw away a competition, and we shouldn't do it anyway. We're Liverpool. And those people there, I know they would have spent a fortune to have been there. They're hard-earned cash to go and watch players they've never even heard of that are developing. And what would that have done to them last night, going through that?
100%.
Well, our senior first team people were sat in the rain. I mean, that's not much of a rest in my eyes. I just think it was a really poor decision, really poor, and it's blown up obviously online.
On Arne Slot then, because that's your 5th defeat, and that's I read something yesterday from and it might have just been on Twitter, so it might just be absolute nonsense, but people calling for, he said that he's in trouble, that he's being found out, and that this is obviously, last season was more or less Klopp's team, and they've just carried on doing what Klopp would have done anyway, and it was, it worked. But now you've obviously had a change of the guard, and you've had players leave, and you've had players come in, and maybe not working with the system as well, maybe not working with Klopp with Slot as well. Is he in trouble? Because football's fickle; it changes pretty quickly.
So, does he have to get some results? Yes. Is he in trouble? I hope not. So, all of this sack Slot, I really am not behind. I truly believe he is a great manager. There's many managers that have picked up somebody else's team and have failed miserably. I mean, look at the fall of United as one huge example. He actually changed.
Getting that in, by the way, cheeky to get Man United.
Oh yeah, gotta get that in. even though they recently just beat us, but we'll we
don't need to talk about that yet.
No. But yeah, with Slot, he likes fluidity, so he likes to change up formations. He likes players that, like Slobosar, who can play in different positions, so that he keeps everybody on their toes, like opposition as well as our own team.
Okay.
But what has happened is, I feel like the recruitment at Liverpool, which we've all talked about as being the best setup because it's done incredibly well over the years. Klopp admitted it, right? He was not involved in recruitment. He just said, let me have final approval.
Well, yeah.
And it worked. Right? It worked for a very long time. I think over the summer, I feel like we went a little bit too far, and maybe Slot really wasn't involved, because this blending of new and old, I think they thought by keeping Salah, Van Dijk, Gravenberch, I mean, I can name a load of players, by keeping them as the foundation, that the new would just slot in.
Yeah. Like that. Well
slot in and work. And of course, that wasn't going to happen, right? 8 new players. On 8 new players that are in the first team or thereabouts.
Yeah.
And what has happened is the formation and the tactics have not changed per individual. So Kirkes, for example, he was amazing, right? But he's come to us and he looks absolutely diabolical. And it's because we're still trying to play how we played with Andy and Trent.
Yeah.
So how was Kirkes and Frimpong? Obviously, he's been injured twice, so that we can't really talk about him, because actually, when he came on against Frankfurt, he looked really good and exciting, and him and Wirtz were really working well together, but then got injured. But you cannot have a young player like that in Kirkes come into a system like that and just do what he did last year. So you either have to play him in a different position, and we'll talk about my formation later, to get the best out of him, or what are you doing? Like, you're going to change him as a player completely?
Yeah.
And then why would you have bought him? So we have, in short, we have lots of issues, including, a sulky Mo Salah, a Van Dijk that's getting frustrated that he had, and in Konate, he thought a really strong partner, and his head has been turned, and he was bad at the start of the season. He's got better. The right back, you can't even name it for Liverpool. Yeah. Who is our right back? And then you've got Kerkez flying around like he's playing under sevens for not even an academy. Like, so Van Dijk, I've got a lot to say about Van Dijk and how he's not shown up as a leader, quite frankly, because he's just sulking about it rather than actually getting to handles on how to play with Kerkez, how to play with Konate, and how to maybe persuade Slot on what that back four or back line should be.
I think that's what's been most shocking for me watching Liverpool this season. I watched the Brentford game last week, right? And I always tend to watch teams when they're just about to play Villa, right? Because obviously we're about our own clubs, and I'm trying to work out how can we get some joy against Liverpool. Now, as I said at the start of the show, I hate this fixture, right? Because we just, in the Premier League era, here's some stats for you, right? So we've only won 6 times at Anfield, right, in the Premier League era. And the last time was in 2014, right? So we just, for whatever reason, whether Liverpool have been absolutely brilliant and blown us away, or we've just underperformed in games that we've actually been in, we've drawn 6 at Anfield. Right, so we played 31 times at Anfield in the Premier League era. So we've won 6, drew 6, and lost 19. Right now, I know that stats are nothing because it depends what comes on the day. But like I say, when you started the season flying, you were top of the league. I think 5 out of 5 games won. We hadn't won a game. We couldn't score a goal. Like it was. Well, no, you weren't fine, but you were doing what good teams do. You win without being brilliant, right? And that's kind of what Villa have done recently. We haven't been brilliant, but we've ground out results, and we're trying to, you can see what we're trying to do again. And there's an identity there, and Emery's good at sticking to what he knows. And it's all about the players, right? But so I was nervous about this fixture, but obviously we're coming into it on a great run of form, right? We've just beaten Spurs, we've just beaten Man City. This fixture, when the fixtures came out, if you look at Villa's fixtures now between now and December, I feel like we've got probably the hardest running. Right, we've got some really tough fixtures over the Christmas period, with European games thrown in. So this phase, like for instance, we played Spurs, we played City, we've got you, then we've got Bournemouth. That's the top 4, right, playing in consecutive games. So to get 6 points out of the first 2 of them, I'm like, oh my God, am I dreaming? I feel like pinch like that, and then you throw this fixture into the mix, and I go, and people are going, oh yeah, Liverpool are all over the place. That and I watched that Brentford game. Defensively, I was so shocked at how Liverpool gave up. Like, Konate chasing back for that second goal, like literally stopped running. Like,
Van Dijk didn't even run.
That Van Dijk didn't even run. Like, I've not seen that from a Liverpool side in probably 5-6 seasons. Like it's just, so if we get that Liverpool, I fancy Villa to really cause problems on Saturday. But again, I think there's a psychological block for the Villa at Anfield. I really do. And as much fun was coming, I'm a little bit nervous about it. But I understand that back 4 is all over the place at the moment. And so I envisage that Emery will be picking that apart and going, look, they're all over the place at the moment. If we expose them here and here and here, which we can do, it will all be about the occasion. Because if we play like we did against Man City, I think you'll be in trouble because you won't cook. Things at Liverpool and Man City, they're very similar in their styles of play. I've been watching them over the last couple of seasons and how they've torn us apart in games, right? It is, you're going to come at us, there'll be a high press, and it will allow us to, if we can play through those lines, like I know that we can, like we did against Man City. First 15 minutes of that game, we were under massive amount of pressure. They pegged us in. And then all of a sudden, we just had a little couple of moments where we broke those lines and created chances. And all of a sudden, City on the back foot. We scored the goal in the 20th minute, and they didn't. After that, they weren't in the game, really. We controlled it really, really well. But you're at Anfield, and that is a tough place to go. The atmosphere at the start, and I think Villa just get drawn into that for whatever reason. We have done in the last couple of seasons. Like last season when we lost, we were in the game for such a large period of time, and we created chances, but then we make silly mistakes, and you punished us. And I just haven't seen that of Liverpool yet. So I'm feeling quietly confident, and we'll get to that in the when we pick up part of the teams. But yeah, I don't know what's happening there with that defence for Liverpool for them to be so disjointed, because you haven't changed defenders really. All the players that you've brought in, well, I know you've got Kirkes, but I generally thought he would fit in. Like, I know it's different and it's not the same as Trent, but in terms of as a professional outlet, you look at you're bringing in a very good player. Is he the Trent player? Probably not. But you've got two experienced defenders playing alongside him, and Andy Robertson are still there, a part of that, process. So you think, look, this is how we play. Can we get it? And sometimes it just doesn't work. And I think it's been exposed by numerous teams, particularly Palace, Brentford. They've found the gaps.
Yeah. So the problems. I mean, how long we got? Like, the problems are so there's so many problems all at the same time. So I can understand why Slot, although he shouldn't be saying it to the press, is not finding solutions yet. And I use that word yet, right? I do believe that Slot will find a way to make these players work
the power
together.
of yet.
Yeah. But Kirkes, I would not start him in that position. If I was, and we'll talk about later, if I was going to start Kirkes, I'll start him somewhere else, and we'll talk about that later. On the right, we've got to sort it out. We have to. And I think Andy should come in, and I think we should have a back three. Like, I just don't, like, we're just not working as a back four at all. And then whoever's in the double pivot, they are more defensive than attacking, because there are so many examples of us not defending a set piece properly because we're just thinking, actually, that might come to me. So we've had Frimpong putting the burners on and not marking. We've had everybody. So that Gravenberch, McAllister. If it's those two, they've got to be more DM than AM, right? And they've got to be further back. And then Wirtz is given the space to actually be the creator and to be feeding our front line. That's got to happen, and that's got to happen against you, because you're getting the press right. You are doing the press like we used to do, right? Where you've got to be in a triangle or a diamond, like at every possible opportunity, and that you're working as a unit. Whereas at the moment, Liverpool will have one player, probably Dom, doing a press and nobody running with him. Like, literally, they're just dawdling around. And this is not the Liverpool team that won the league last year and had success under Klopp, multiple successes under Klopp.
Well, having said that, I mean, I'm fully aware that we could be on the backlash of a reckoning. Do you know what I mean? Because after obviously the last few games and obviously the performance against Palace yesterday, you would expect a reaction. I think that's what Klopp's got. Those things you've just mentioned aren't probably going to, like you say, they're not going to change overnight. They're not instant solutions. It's about kind of, right, okay, we know what we have to do, but we've got to show some. And I don't know about you, but this was the same with the Villa at the start of the season when we weren't performing and we were really poor. I was like, it doesn't matter about the things. We know what the problems are, but it's about the work rate and the effort and the desire to play for the shirt, right? And to kind of, we can put these things right as a team, and that's what. I don't care what anyone says to me. That's what every football fan wants from their team, right? Because you want them, you love the moments of brilliance, and we want the cheery moments, but you only get those with the desire to want them, and it's the work right off the ball, like you just mentioned there, the running and that's concerned me about Liverpool. Is there something wrong in the dressing room? Do the players not want to play for Arne Slot? Because if that is the case, you've got to be really careful, because that spreads like a cancer throughout a team, and that we've seen that throughout lots of Premier League teams, and that's how they get managers sacked, because they don't like the training methods, or they don't like the coaching, or whatever it is. I don't think that's the case at Liverpool, by the way. I just think that you've got to try and have these moments, and like I say, you look at that record where we've lost 19 times, and if you're slight, I'm saying to my team, right, we've got a great record against Villa at Anfield. Let's get into them early, because ultimately we don't like the press, and if it's done correctly against us, we can make a mistake, and that's what City tried to do with us. But we rode it, and we played really, really well. And football's all about consistency, and that's been Villa's lack of consistency. If you look through the last season and a bit, we have these moments where we go 5 without a win, then we'll win 4, then we'll lose a couple, and we keep stuttering because we haven't quite got the depth and the squad to get there. We've got all the plans and the desire in the world from owners and that want to spend money, but we just haven't quite got the depth. So I really hope that we can get something, obviously, but I think there's also that it wouldn't be on the Rams, especially that you absolutely give us a tonking and we come back down to it with another bang.
Yeah, well, would I love that? Of course. Do I think it's going to happen? No. Like, no. I think if we'll go to match score predictions soon. If we're going to win, it'll be a very, very narrow win. I just don't think we will suddenly come alive on Saturday. There's a lot to work out. But am I scared about the next 3 fixtures? Absolutely. Like, to have you and then Madrid and then City when we're in the situation we are, which is why I wanted to see some of our first 11 that are not firing playing last night, to give them a bit of, because Mo could have come on a weakened Palace team, right? Only slightly weakened, but weakened Palace team. And he maybe could have banged in a couple of goals last night, right? Which could have helped him then, if he's going to start on Saturday, play well. Because he is key.
Absolutely.
He is key. Yeah.
Well, I'm surprised about that, really, with Salah, that in those moments like yesterday, he's a big game player. Right? He is a big game player. So at 1-0, why aren't you, at half-time, why aren't you thinking, let's get him on and see what he can do? Because whatever you think of Mo Salah, he has the ability to turn a game on a sixpence, and you need moments like that when you're down. So, I was surprised yesterday that he wasn't utilised like that. So, I don't know. Like you say, none of us really know what's going through the head of these managers, or what's gone on in. Is it just agreed? Look, we're going to rest you, and it doesn't matter what's going on. It is a throwaway game. But as a fan, you're like, well, no, we should be trying to win every football match. And actually, we've just lost 4 league games in a row. This is a great opportunity to get momentum and kind of, because that's what football's all about, right? It's about the consistency and momentum. So, it's really interesting. Right. So before we get onto squad prediction and score predictions, Sarah, we're going to just break it up a little bit. We're going to test your Liverpool knowledge, if that's okay, with our great hat-trick quiz, right? So I promise you, it does need a jingle. I'm working on it. We've got, I think I told you about it off air, where we've got a guy called Sam, who is, 1 second, let me just get you back on the screen. That will always, where are we? There we are. Right, we're back. Right, okay. So we've got a guy called Sam, who's eventually a musician, and I'm trying to put him up and see if I can get him to do something, because I'd love a little jingle for that. I think it'd be great. So watch this space, internet world. It could be a fun thing. Right. Okay. So on to the hat trick quiz. All right. Nothing too taxing, Sarah. I promise you. Right. There's 3 questions, and hence the hat trick quiz. Question 1's the tapping. Question 2 is the curler from the edge of the box. And question 3 is the thunderbolt. So easy, medium, and hard, and a bonus question for either bragging rights or to give you a chance to score a hat trick. Okay. So they are Villa, Liverpool related only. Right. So let's see how we can.
All right then.
Right. Are you ready?
I'll try.
The try. So the tapping. Right. I had to get this one in because it's such a fun memory for me. Right. Who scored a hat trick for Villa in the 7-2 win over Liverpool in 2020 at Villa Park?
2020.
It was during COVID times. There was nobody there. It was October 2020.
God, I should know this, because obviously we did incredibly well that season.
No.
Oh my God. Who would have been paying for you in 2020?
Now, I can give you, I have got multiple choice. I'll give you 2 options to choose from.
All right, then do multi-choice. Because
okay, so it's either Jack Grealish or Ollie Watkins.
Well, my first, should I go with my gut? I was going to say Grealish anyway. I thought, has he scored a hat-trick against us, though? I don't think he has. But if I now go Watkins and I thought Grealish first, I'm going to be annoyed with myself.
It's a fun memory for me, so I remember it very, very well.
Okay, I'll go Watkins.
Watkins. It's a good choice. That's the correct answer. He scored a perfect hat trick, right foot, left foot header. It was amazing. One of the few magical memories at Villa Park during COVID times. Right, so that's the easy one. Okay, so then back in November 2019, Liverpool came back from 1-0 down to win the game 2-1 at Villa Park. Who scored the winning goal?
Say the year again, sorry?
November 2019. And I'll give you multiple choice again if you want to.
Okay, good. Yeah, go on then.
Yeah, so it's either Bobby Firmino or Sadio Mane.
Okay, I'm going to go, because this is who I thought of, so I'm actually going to go with my gut this time and see if it actually is Firmino.
No, it was Sadio Mane with a header. And I remember it so well. Andy Robertson scored the equaliser. We went 1-0 up and it was euphoria. I can't remember who scored our goal. But yeah, it was. So you missed from the edge of the box, but you've still got a chance, right? This is the Thunderbolt one. And this is the hard one, right? So I will give you, I guess, 4 multiple choice answers to choose from, right? So to make it a little bit, easier. We want you to score that hat trick, right? So here we go. Which of these players has scored for both Liverpool and Aston Villa in the Premier League? All right. It's either A, Danny Ings, B, Christian Benteke, C, Peter Crouch, or D, all of the above. So they've all played for Villa and Liverpool.
Yeah. Probably all of the above.
Yes, she shoots, she scores, which makes the bonus round the important one, Sarah, because you can score your hat trick. You can do that perfect hat trick, left foot, right foot, and now this one's for the header. Okay, going back to that 7-2 victory, because obviously I just wanted to mention it twice. It was that good. Which Liverpool player scored both of Liverpool's goals?
Say the year again.
So it was November 2020.
Okay.
During the COVID, in the 7-2 victory, Holly Watkins scored a hat trick. Ross Barkley scored. John McGinn and Jack Grealish got 2 for us. Not that I remember it or anything. You scored twice, and there was a certain player that scored twice for you. I can give you the multiple choice answer if you want to.
Go on then, because I've got a name in mind, and then.
Okay, so it's either Mo Salah or rest in peace, Diogo Jota.
Okay, I first thought Mo.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sarah, you did it. Well done. You scored a hat trick. She shoots, she scores. Now we need a jingle for that. That's what needs to happen, right? So that's awesome. See, hopefully it wasn't as too taxing or anything like that, but it just breaks it up just to test our general knowledge of our clubs. You did really well. So and you pulled it back anyway with a great header at the end. Mo Salah. Like I had to mention that game because obviously it was dark times in COVID, and that was the shining light for me because I've never seen us. That was when Liverpool were flying as well. I think you had your strongest teammate. It was kind of Mane, Salah, Firmino, Trent. Everybody was Van Dijk. The only saving grace was that Alisson didn't play in goal, and I think you had Adrian in goal. I think it was, and he made a couple of mistakes, which kind of gave us the victory. So those were fun times, as they say. Right then, which brings us on to our predictions. Right. Okay. So we're going to go through your and then we'll go through the Villa lineup, and if we put the serve to the side, there you go. And where have I gone? Hello, am I there? Can you still see me?
No, you just blacked out.
Oh, what's happened there? Oh dear Lord. Can you still hear me though? You can still hear me, can't you?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Right. Okay. Well, because if I come out and have to come back in, it will just change the whole thing. So you can, if you want to take us through your starting lineup and tell us a little bit what your thinking is behind this, whether it's your actual one or is this something that Slot is going to potentially go with. So yeah, fire away.
So this is what I hope he'll do with what we've kind of got now. Obviously, there's still a bit of a whether Isak is injured still for Saturday, but let's say he isn't. So obviously, with Alisson out, we've got Gio in goalkeeping position. Yeah. He's had a lot of stick, and I feel for him. You know, this was not how he was going to get integrated into the team, and with the defence as it has been, he's not had a lot of hope really. So I really think if Kerkez really is going to start, and that's clearly what Slot has been doing, right? He played him again last night. He clearly wants him clicking. As I said earlier, I don't think he should be in the back line. So I'll talk about that in a second. But I'm saying we go to a back three. Right. That we're more compact on the back line, because if you see where some of our problems have happened this entire season, not just when we've been losing, there's been too much space between Konate and Van Dijk for a get-go. So going to that back three, we could be a lot more compact with Szoboszlai and Kerkez still working hard and going up and down the flanks, but not having an overly defensive kind of remit. So I want Andy back. I think he's a calm head back there. He has come on and really, really changed the game. Like Frankfurt was the best performance we've had probably this season. Yeah. And yes, Frankfurt is Frankfurt. I know it wasn't against a Villa or a Madrid or a City, which you've got coming up. But I think he gives us some of those balls that we're massively missing from Trent too. So that foresight, that insight to put the ball over, to pass it into space, because at the moment all we seem to be doing is just passing to feet. Yeah. And it's just too slow, too predictable, and just not working. And then the biggie for me, and this is where we've had a lot of the defensive problems as well. We can't just blame Van Dijk and Konate and Kerkez and whoever our right back is. Answers in the comments. But we need a more defensive pivot than we've been doing. So Gravenberch and McAllister, and this could also work with like Gravenberch and Jones or Gravenberch and Szoboszlai if we didn't have him out on the right, because that's quite controversial what I've done there. Yeah. But they've got to be a lot more defensive. So only going forward to back up the attack, not be the attack. I really don't want McAllister idling into the box like he has been, and leaving us wide open in midfield. So they've got to have a really, really disciplined remit. And as I've been saying a lot in my content, Wirtz is the key. At the moment, we need the rest of the team to go up to the level of Wirtz. So he will be the creative player in that middle and have a lot of freedom to move left, right, back forward, etc. And that he should be feeding Isak and Ekitike, or if we go with one up front, feeding that forward. Yeah. And working really, really hard on a high press with Kerkez, Szoboszlai and Wirtz. I think that could work really, really well with Gravenberch and McAllister backing them up. So a lot more of triangles and diamond shape pressing than the one player pressing that we've been doing so far. And then I really, really want us to go with a front two. We've got two incredible strikers there. None of which should be on the bench. I would much prefer they rotate off once we've got, a good lead, etc., rather than have one on the bench coming on to try and save a game, which is what has happened previously.
So has Slot played them together yet? Have they played from the start? Have they started again?
Yes. So Frankfurt we did.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. but it wasn't in this kind of structure. Yeah.
So I'm also interested with the Szoboszlai on the right, like, because isn't that going to mean you're going to be very narrow? Like I don't know, like, yeah, how's that going to, how will that work attacking wise? I understand it from a defensive point of view, and he's a fabulous player. I really like his work rate and ethic. I loved him last year. I think he was probably one of the most underrated midfielders in the league. But yeah, on the right hand side, I'm intrigued by that one.
I'm so sorry. You might want to edit this out because I've got a phone call and I can't stop it.
That's okay.
Alexa, stop.
We get that all the time. I'm leaving that in just because that's a truth. Everyone follow like thing. Usually I get a phone call and it cuts me off and I have to cut. Like, so don't worry about that at all. We'll leave that one.
That's my Amazon my Amazon partnership. I wish.
Every week we follow Sarah. We understand life goes on, right? And it's not all about football.
It's probably my dad complained about Liverpool last night. That's what's so funny. So, like with anything, this has got to be that these players know their remit and they stick in those positions.
Yeah.
So, if Szoboszlai was to come in, Wirtz has got to go out, or Isak's got to go out, right? There's been plenty of scenarios where Isak's been more right than Mo Salah when they play together. So Slot likes fluidity, and that is also what needs to work here. So if you see that a gap has formed and we've gone narrow, then there's got to be hard work to move into that position and be there if then Szoboszlai needs the ball, outlay the ball wide. So that, I think though, with Szoboszlai, he does do as he's told. Do you know what I mean? If he's given a role, he does it to the absolute max. And I think him being in that Mo position, well, one, Mo has not been good enough. I would much prefer to be using him as an impact player right now until he is firing. Until he is firing, then have him start, and then us having to kind of unpick him not performing. With Szoboszlai, you know he's going to perform.
Well, I mean, I think that's the key for you, because Liverpool over the last few years, like, you know, how great they've been, right? And that you mentioned it just then, the fluidity, particularly in the final third, with how players. It's something I want Villa to do so desperately, like, you know, because you go, well, he doesn't usually play on the left, but now you go, look, you've got front four there, or front five players that there shouldn't be positions. Just like, right, just fill the positions, move around, and make it difficult for defences to go, actually, Mo's not going to play. He's going to be, he might be on the right, but then he's going to pop up on the left, and he might be central, and then you don't know who's marking him, and that's how you get joy with that movement, right? And Liverpool have done that better than anybody in recent years, right? Bar probably Man City, right? So if this clicks, which I think it eventually will, because Wirtz for me is absolutely outstanding. He's a brilliant player, right? Isak last year and the season before, that guy is one of the best strikers in world football at the moment. He is but he's just not clicking at the moment. And you understand when you've got new players, new manager syndrome, all that kind of stuff. It's like, just persevere. That's the key. This team will no doubt come good. I hope it's not on Saturday, by the way, because I really want Villa to kind of carry on their form. But we've got some work to do, which brings us on to our formation. All right, so this is we're not going to change massively, and I've on this show. So if you've not seen it before, I basically always do what I think I would want, right? But I've kind of gone against the grain a little bit here and just gone with what Emery will probably play, because it's what's worked. It's what worked against Man City. Now the only change here is that Emi Buendia went off with an injury. He looks like he's broke his foot and he's going to be out for. I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks maybe, which it's devastating, because he's been arguably one of our best players as an impact sub, and when he started, he's just brought that little bit of creative spark that we've been lacking in the early parts of the season. And defence kind of picks itself at the moment. Me personally, I would like to see Matson at left back. I think he offers a little bit more pace going forward than Digne, but Digne has been absolutely outstanding. Like, he's been so good. And you go, wow, because this is a guy who took a pay cut in the summer to stay at the club. And he's hit levels that I didn't think were possible, if I'm honest. So he's actually proven me wrong the last couple of games. I've gone, oh well, he's undroppable. Like against Spurs and against Man City, in particular, I thought he was excellent, and he actually started to break the lines going forward as well. And I was like, wow, it was a perfect performance from him. But the whole team played well against Man City. Pau Torres, Konza, and Cash. Now, Torres for me is the weak link in our defence, and I get slated for this, Sarah, big time, because he's a really good defender. Right? The problem with Pau Torres for me is against teams like Liverpool who look to get in behind you and attack you and run at you. With his running back to his own goal, he's useless. He's not quick, and he really struggles with the physicality of stuff. When teams play in front of us, which we've done really well, we kind of did that against City in that we defended so well that they didn't really have the chance to run it in 1v1. So as a defender with the game in front of him, he's fantastic. He'll pick the ball off, he'll make tackles, his distribution is superb, and he really gets us going forward. But that's the weak link there. That's where I think Slot will try and pick him apart. And then that takes us onto that two pivot there, which Amadou Onana against Man City, honestly, I don't think he touched the ball massively amounts, but the work rate that guy put in and the tackles he flew in, there was one where he saved with his face. He was everywhere, right? And if he can do that again, we talked about it earlier, consistency, he hasn't done it consistent enough. Like when we played Brentford, it was he got out-muscled by Jordan Henderson. And one for the Liverpool fans. And I just thought that shouldn't be happening. This guy is 6'4". He's an absolute giant of a human. Like he should be bossing most midfields, and he should be winning every physical battle. So to watch Jordan Henderson just really school him and go, "This is the experience you need, mate. I'm a Premier League winner." Do you know what I mean? That's what it kind of was.
Henderson doesn't get enough plaudits though. He's playing like a 24-year-old right now. I loved him at Liverpool. I love his work rate. I love his mentality, and he's a real leader on the pitch. He's transformed Brentford. Yeah.
So many people have said that, haven't they? About that's why he's been in England's camps, because of not what he offered on the pitch, but what he offers to the team. And so you understand that, and you can see that for what he's doing with Brentford. And that's what Onana should have been looking at, going, that's what I need to do consistently. And he to be fair to him, he's coming back from injury, and so he played against Spurs, and he looked a little bit off the pace. He had a good game, but I thought, he looks tired. But then against City, wow, he was just incredible. Our strongest player for me is that man there next to him, Kamara. This guy is a Rolls Royce of a footballer, and I think he would walk into any Premier League team. He's the one thing I'm very grateful to Steven Gerrard for. You've got more Steven Gerrard probably stories than I have, but this guy just goes under the radar and has done for the 3 seasons he's been with us. But honestly, you talk about the basics of football and what it is to be a footballer. This guy does them so well, it's not even funny. And he does it with his eyes closed. He breaks up play. He tracks players. He tracks runs. He plays forward passes. But my only criticism of this guy is he probably could get a goal or two. And if he could pop up with a goal or two, he would be the complete midfielder. And so that's where the game's won and lost for me, is in that position there. If they can offer the cover for our back four against the threat that you will no doubtly offer, if we can do what we did against Man City, it brings us onto that front four. And again, McGinn that's not his
Oh, what's happened? Should I take over? I think Cash should get a mention. He was brilliant against Man City.
Sarah, I'm so sorry. We just literally had a power cut.
No way.
So I am on my phone. I've had to just swap it all out. So you've just gone very teeny tiny. My iPad was plugged in and it just went off. I don't know if it kind of died, but everything's just kind of gone a bit peaked on there. That's devastating. But I've managed to come back.
So you were pick up at McGinn.
Yes. So McGinn, that is not his favoured position on the left. He could well be out on the right as well. But I think what will happen is I would personally like to see Marlon play on the right hand side of that four. I think he's a player that is not been utilised enough and has been a constant threat in every game he's played. But for whatever reason, Emery doesn't want to use him, which is just weird. It's one of those, most Villa fans are scratching their heads going, why did we buy him for? We bought him last January. He was left out of the Champions League squad. He didn't then play in FA Cup games or league games. He got minimal minutes. But in the minutes that he did play, he scored or he was assisting. And we're like, God, there seems to be a player here. Why aren't we playing him? And I don't know if at first I thought maybe it's the work rate and that kind of might be a thing in terms of, like, Gesson will probably play there because he's been excellent cover for Cash in the last couple of games, but offers very little going forward. Like I'm waiting to see, you know when you watch a highlight reel of a player, and in France he was tearing it up and he could play across that front three and cause problems across it, and I'm like, haven't seen that yet. He's looked a little bit lost. And I just think with the threat that you offer, I think Gesson will start just purely as to cover Cash and make sure that we don't get exposed down that right-hand side. And then you've got...
I think Cash was amazing against City.
He was, honestly, we've had lots of debates about Cash on the show. And mainly because he's been one of our most consistent players in the squad. I wouldn't say performers, but lots of Villa's fans' opinions are he's not good enough to play right back. And there's little moments in Cash's game that I can kind of see why that is said. Sometimes, and I've said it myself, in terms sometimes positionally he gets drawn in centrally, and good teams expose that space. And we have at the start of the season he was at fault for probably 4 of the first 5 goals we conceded because he was just out of position, or he gave the ball away cheaply in attacking areas. But I'm happy to eat my own words, and in the last 3 or 4 games he's been absolutely sensational. And against Man City, it's probably his best performance in a Villa shirt. He was superb defensively, offensively. He was everywhere. And again, I come back to that word consistency. That's all it is. It's all about consistency. If he was to do that consistently, he could be one of the best right backs in the league. But he hasn't done that, and so the jury's out. And if he has another game like that, like he did against City, he'll be a real threat going forward as well, because we offered that. And I think that's why he's more likely to play Gesson. But the big one for me, and I was really pleased against City because I spent 14 minutes on Sky Sports basically slagging Morgan Rogers off, because in the first 5 games I thought he was absolutely, pardon my French, dog shit for us. He was absolutely awful. And it looked like he'd down tools. I genuinely thought he'd had his head turned, that he'd been away on international. He went away and played for England against Serbia, pulled out a man of the match performance, came back for us, and looked like he just wasn't interested. Walking around the football field, not closing people down. And that was the Bologna game in Europa League, and I think he got a sarcastic cheer from the crowd, and that's why we were basically. I was on Sky going, I didn't jeer him, I would never do that, but questions have to be asked about where the loyalties are and what's going on, because it just wasn't there. And he's in the last few games he's shown snippets, but I thought against City again there was. We talked about it again earlier about that desire and the work rate for the shirt. And against City, he didn't have his greatest game. He was slightly better again. He did kind of have a couple of forward runs where he shielded players off. But the work rate to get the ball back from him against City was absolutely superb. I watched him at Villa Park make 3 or 4 70-yard sprints back towards his own goal to get into position. And I was just like, yes, that's what I want to see. Like the rest of the quality that I know he possesses in terms of these offensive capabilities of getting in between the lines in that number 10 role will come, because he's a very, very good player. But you want that work rate first and foremost, because it enables you to do that. And so he's the key man for me, Sarah, that will unlock your defence. He's the one that, if you get him on the ball, can cause all kinds of problems.
I agree. And he's one of those where he's... Oh, sorry, go on.
No, go, because I was going to move on to Ollie Watkins, so you say what you're going to say about Rogers.
Yeah, Rogers is one of those, a bit like Salah, right? he's too good to leave on the bench.
Yeah.
But when he doesn't perform, you're like, But I think though Emery is he's just got he's finely tuned you now. You know that you're starting to really ramp up, really like purr. Like if I go with the kind of car analogy still.
Yeah.
It's a bit like Cash, right? He's persevered with Cash because there has been plenty of scenarios where you've probably been absolutely screaming at him, but he's just been amazing for the past 3 games, and anyone that can keep Doku quiet, I mean, gets my vote. So and same with Rodgers, right? I think it's just that consistency of mentality with him rather than quality and talent.
100%. I couldn't agree more with that statement, and I think it's. The problem we've got is Ollie Watkins. I love Ollie Watkins in terms of what he brings to our team, and I thought against City he was excellent with his hold-up play and his movement, and it was another masterclass, and he does that week in, week out. My biggest issue with Watkins is that he's not a natural finisher, and the amount of clear-cut opportunities this guy misses. It cost us. It cost us last season. You know, our biggest issue last year was goal difference, and he missed 33 big chances, like one-on-ones last year, and he's continued that into this season. He's got 1 Premier League goal, and he's had the chances. And unfortunately, at this level, if you're not clinical, you get punished, and that's what I worry about. I was nervous about the City game last week because I thought you've got Haaland and you've got Watkins, and this could come down to 2 players getting opportunities and whoever takes them, right? It just so happened that we defended magnificently against Haaland and kept him out of the game. Can we do that again against the likes of Isak and Ekitike? I don't know. Like, again, it's about consistency. I'd like to think if we can perform like we did, we do, and then we've got to take our chances when we get them. I just don't have a vote of confidence in Ollie. I think we need a massive upgrade. I think he's now approaching his 30 this year, and I think that there's lots of rumours that he wanted out of the club in the summer, and whether how true they are, and again, similar to Rodgers in the first opening 5 games, he didn't look like he wanted to play, like he wasn't making those runs, and at least in the last couple of games he has. And so if these players are to leave, which could happen, as long as they are putting in shifts week in, week out and trying to get the best for Villa while they're here, I haven't got a problem with any player leaving the Villa if that's what they do.
What you've got to hope with Watkins and Rodgers is that that they really do kick on now, because everyone of the England players that have been there or thereabouts in the England squad should be playing out of their skin right now to try and get onto that squad. And you would hope if Watkins and Rodgers could form a really good partnership, they're then maybe in the thinking. And Watkins can turn it on, and he might turn it on the stage, the Anfield stage, and think actually with the defence that we've got at the moment, he those misses that those opportunities that would normally be a miss or an early save or whatever, easy save, sorry, could go in against us. So they could be absolutely dynamite on Saturday. I hope not, obviously, but.
Well, yes. It's all about confidence as well for Ollie. I think he's a confident striker, and that I'm waiting for that moment to be the turning point where he can just, get his goal, and there'll be a foray of goals that come. It happened last year. He started really slowly, but like I say, he's got to take one of those opportunities, and I think we will create stuff at Anfield. It's whether we can convert and then defend like we did against Man City. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game, if I'm honest. I think you've got, like I say, for the reasons I just mentioned, I think we'll defend well, and then we'll look to kind of hit you on the counter-attack, and it's whether we can kind of create those chances. And so, unfortunately, because I've had to switch over to my phone, right, I haven't got the assets to go back to the original screen to go full screen, right? So, and if I go back to it now, that image of that team's just going to be in the middle of us. So I'm going to keep us on the side. But that leads us to our score predictions. And I don't know, because I'm teeny tiny on here. So I'm going to write them down. If you can't see it, let me know and I'll hold my fingers up if that's okay. All right.
Okay.
So I'm just going to write them down. Right now, if you would, as the guest, if you would like to go first and hold up your score, you might have to tell me because you are so tiny on my screen. It's not even funny.
I have a digital.
That's posh. I love that. That's amazing. 2-1. You've gone 2-1. Okay, I'll hold my pen and paper. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that?
So I nearly went 1-1.
1-1.
I've just got to try and keep the hope that we will get out of this slump, and I'm just hoping, with it being at Anfield, with the all our players being rested last night, pretty much.
Yeah.
That they have got something to prove, and they bloody well should be thinking they've got something to prove. That we will nick that second goal. Or we go 2-0 up. Wouldn't that be amazing? Rather than having to chase the game, and you get just the one goal and make us sweat till the end. But I think this has probably got draw all over it, or quite frankly, you guys just absolutely knock us off the park. The way
I always have separate emotions because I think you're right. If I was a Liverpool fan, I would be going for a 2-1 victory. I think you're at home. I think the occasion, the record that we've got at Anfield is terrible. Like, it's kind of, there's things going for you. And I always have, for the Villa, I always have a head and a heart kind of result. So, and I always go with my head on the show. So 1-1, my footballing brain says, go away, be tight, don't lose the game, get a point, keep the momentum going. You've got tough fixtures coming up and you can pick up points elsewhere. It's never the way it usually goes. In my heart, I'm going 1-0, like similar to the City performance. Get a relatively early goal, defend like Lions that I know we can, and get 9 from 9. I think it would be a massive boost for us going into the next few fixtures. We've got Tel Aviv at home in the Europa League, and then we've got Bournemouth. Then we've got a trip to Leeds and Wolves at home, and so and then we go into December with a fixture running of Brighton, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, West Ham, Arsenal again. It's not a pleasant run of fixtures, but we've got to play everybody. I understand that, but football's as much psychological as it is physical, right? And sometimes you can get a bit of momentum when you go, actually, we've got teams that we probably could win. When you're playing against the top half consistently in weeks on end, you go, we could potentially be in the bottom 3 here. But I think I'm hoping we've turned a corner. I think there's a bit of belief come back to the Villa with the result against City and the result against Spurs. I think the European trip to go ahead Eagles, we got a bit lackluster. We made 7 changes, similar to what you did yesterday in the Cup. And you've got a team that wants to beat you, and that's not a good concoction. I think often teams lose when that happens. So I'm looking forward to this one. It's going to be a late kickoff, 8:00 kickoff at Anfield. I don't like waiting till to the very last game of the Saturday. I'd rather get it out of the way, like 12:30 be done, and kind of celebrate my rest of the weekend. Now I've got to sit around on an anxious eggshells waiting for the game to kick off. So yeah, it's emotional. Right.
Really
Sarah, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute blast. Apologies for the technical issues. I don't know what happened in terms of it kicking me off my iPad, because it's there, it's not working. Everything went off in my bedroom, and I'm just kind of sat here going, I'm going to go and sort that off in a minute. So I'm on my phone, but that's live recordings and the social media. It's a bit of fun, right? So guys, if you can, like and subscribe to our channel, please do. In the description, I'll put in Sarah's details, so go and follow her on TikTok and follow what she's doing if you're a Liverpool fan and enjoy what she's doing. No doubt, Sarah, our paths will cross. If you stick around for a couple of minutes after this, I'll give you a proper goodbye in the studio. And yeah, good luck for Saturday. But obviously, I hope that it doesn't come to fruition, your result, if that makes sense.
We need it. We need all the luck in the world right now.
Well, I usually sign off the show with a sing out, Sarah. So I do apologise for this horrendous version of every week we follow. But if I don't do it, then I'll regret it, because it's just who I am. So yeah, guys, enjoy the game on Saturday. Like I say, like and subscribe. And until next time, as always, every week we follow the boys in claret and blue. Until next time, people. Bye.